This week's protest was the March for Science, something that I should be all for, right? Because I love science. I love it. I love engineering, I love technology, I love science, and I love pouring through data sets. I love the boring aspects as well as the fun little factoids I gain from it. But I'm not excited because it's not a power to the little guy, power to the researcher who is wading through copious amounts of shit to find the one gem. I'm not cheering it because it's the Sieg Heil version of science. We shall not question anything. We will not be disputed. We shall not accept alternative hypotheses. Wings of science. What you see out there in full force is social sciences, your gender studies, your psychology, your sociology, your ethnic studies. You see your climate science out there, and all of this stuff, while it's relevant and useful and could be very, very important to our actual development, is stuff that has basically abandoned the premise of attempting to show proof or show their right, to split hypotheses from the different branches they have. And that's disconcerting to me. Decades or centuries ago, most of the scientific theories that we use in our modern life in terms of producing things or researching things or finding new things, the stuff that has extended our lifespan and allowed us to travel farther than ever before, faster than ever before, and live more comfortably, those things were discovered decades ago. We implemented them, we're refining those processes, we're making them more efficient, more practical, we're getting better process analysis tools. The problem is that those aren't the big facts, right? And so you have this group of people, and again, it's the Sieg Heil goose-stepping fuckers who really want to push an agenda, or they really don't want to have to do all of the work, and they don't want to have to sit there and restrain or confine their hypotheses, or it's really tough and they can't prove their point. And they're marching for science while simultaneously degrading it. Science will never be able to tell us right from wrong, moral versus immoral. We are not able to answer the question of ethics with science. If I push a button on an atomic bomb, that is a scientific button push. I know the circuitry that goes into it. I know what's going to happen. I know the chain reaction, the sequence of events, the amount of energy that's going to be released. I can calculate that. That is scientific. It has been derived through the methods of science. Whether it is morally appropriate to push that button and end the lives of millions is a question that science cannot answer, nor should it. The failure to draw these boundaries between morality and ethics and the scientific method has led to this influx of postmodernism in science. It's most rampant in social sciences, where you get bullshit like feminist glaciology or this gem of a paper I'll show you here. So I wanted to use this mess of word salad because it's just a perfect example. It looks impressive. You have numbers, you have letters, you have all these other things. But when you actually read it, it condenses down to the idea that they showed participants in the study provocative abstracts, and they found that there was a difference in interpretation and favorability between men and women for those provocative abstracts, and they found that problematic. They applied a morality judgment to something that they put no controls in, and the kicker to this, the actual abstracts that they were showing to people were based on a simple experimental setup where they just changed the header, the title, or the name of the person presenting the paper. And when they did that in this, they actually falsified the experiments previously conducted with a larger sample size. But it also infects the other fields as well. Climate science is another one that's up on my radar, and everything should be set up for them to succeed, but they don't take enough temperature measurements. They just don't. They don't adapt their data set. They don't request the appropriate tools or define new tools to make their measurements appropriate and narrowly tailored. People are operating entirely off their opinion rather than discernible fact. And you can actually nowadays have in certain scientific fields two mainstream competing hypotheses for an observation. I shouldn't see 37 climate models, nor should I see 12 theories of social development of adolescence. There's only one real outcome as to how something works or why something occurs in science. And the fact that we've allowed this morality and ethics bent to come in and start telling people how to behave and how to act, it's led to a degradation in the trust of the public as well as the trust of fellow scientists. So no, I'm not excited that there was a march for science. I'm rather dismayed because the people who are out there are not the folks who are actually attempting to improve science. They aren't interested in the nitty-gritty details. They aren't filled with enough self-awareness to give a shit about the actual method, the critical piece that underlines all of the stuff that they like. Science isn't about factoids. Factoids are derived as the result of arduous, long hours sifting through huge piles of data and separating out alternative competing hypotheses with controlled experiment. If you aren't doing that, if you aren't advocating for the most rigorous approaches to be used in all fields of scientific inquiry, you're not marching for science. You're marching for political ideology.